So just like how we have got for loop, in the same way we do have even while loop. Okay, so the difference between for and while is for, if it starts, we cannot have a control over it. It ends when the condition ends. Okay, so it can be a full-fledged continuous loop. So we cannot have a total control over for loop. If you want to terminate, we can terminate in between, but we cannot have a control switch. So that is what is available in while loop. So we are going to see some example on while loop. Okay, so let me just open up a file. Okay, notepad. And here, this is the example for while loop. While loop. Okay, so the syntax is very simple. Let me just show you the syntax of it. So we have given a task maybe to a programmer to demonstrate how the while loop works. So just like for loop, we have got while loop. Okay, so only difference is like in case of for loop, if you see, it is just like this. Okay, it will start with for. You have got initialization of variable. Okay, followed with condition, followed with incrementation. And whatever you give in between these two flower braces will be repeated till the condition is satisfied. This is what we have checked. Similar to this, we have got even while loop. While loop also, okay, it has got the similar pattern. So this is the pattern of while loop. Let me just show you the example. So this is the code that is associated with while loop. All right, now if you see here, the counter has to be initialized first. This is just like your for loop. Counter has to be initialized first. Okay, and then it is immediately proceeded with a condition. So whatever condition is given, while condition. So same thing we have here, condition. Okay, incrementation should be done. You can see this is incrementation. Okay, so we have to same initialize, give a condition, and then increment. This incrementation, just like your for loop incrementation, we can do it. Okay, so let us check the output of this particular loop. So let me save this as main. Okay, or let me give it as while main. Okay, so I'll save this. File, save as, saving it into the same location with the name as while main.java. While main.java. So let me create a folder here and I'll keep it in that particular folder about today's session. Okay, so once saved, I'll navigate to the same location where it has been saved and let me compile it. So this is the location. I just copied the location and I'm going to navigate to command prompt. So when to command prompt, here I'll say CD, switching on to that location. Okay, and here we have the file that is while main.java. So let me compile this. I'll say Java C while main.java. Okay, so it has given me acha. So just check while main.java. I have given here while loop. We're discussing about it. Actually, it should be commented line. So let me open up while main.java. So this is a commented line actually. So we did not comment it. All right, saved it. Okay, here. All right. Going back to the command prompt, let me say Java C while main.java. So if you see the outcome of it, you'll not find any sort of difference in this loop and that loop. Okay, so let us check the output of it. Same output. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. and loop is ended. So if you analyze the code, it works exactly similar to it. You have got your class name, you have got main method, variable initialized, and this is the condition. Okay, starting with 0. So can I start with 1? Yes, I can. And is it less than or equal to 4? I can even go for a less than and equal to. So it should display me 5 as the output. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So recompile it, re-execute it. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So just like your for loop, while loop can be used. But if you want to terminate it in between, then at the first stage itself, if you want to terminate, you can say, let's say break, B-R-E-A-K, break. So see what happens when I'm including that break statement. So compiled and executed. So you can see immediately after 1, there's a break. So we can have a break. We can have a break based on a condition. Okay. Now, for example, instead of giving this break over here, I want to go for a conditional check. So I can include it in this. So if something like this, if the counter is what the condition that we are giving here is based on counter only. So if counter is, let's say, equal to, I'll say 4. If it is equal to 4, I want to give a break. I want to give a break here. I can give that. So what it does, after satisfying that particular condition, it is going to terminate it. So it will give a termination and it comes out. Let us check this, the output of it. So I'll just say compile and execute it. You can see 1, 2, 3. I said equal to 4. So when it is equal to 4, it has terminated. Okay. So what it is doing here, it is just coming out of the loop. So these statements which are there, they get completed rather than satisfying this condition 5, it is checking for this, the second condition. So if you want to have a control over while loop, you can control it with the help of a conditional statement. So once it comes out, immediately it finds the statement end loop. The same thing is being appearing here. Loop ended. Okay. So this is what we can do in case of while loop. So while first checks for the condition. If the condition is satisfied, then only it will enter, or else it will not enter. Now, for example, if I'm giving here 5, the counter itself is 5. So let us check this. I've compiled again. Okay, executed. And you can see it is satisfied. I gave 5. So 5 is satisfied. Okay, counter less than or equal to 5. So right now it is equal. So it will print the statement. It will print the statement. Increment. This check is also made, but it is not satisfactory because 5 is equal to 4. No, it's not equal to 4. It has to actually continue. So when it goes and increments the value of counter, so it becomes like 6 less than or equal to 5. It will not satisfy. Immediately it comes out and displays me loop ended. Check the output. So it will display only once and the loop gets terminated. So if you want to have something like a check and then you want to perform some statements, you can do it with the help of while loop. So for loop and while loop. These are the two types of loops which we have where we can iterate, we can perform multiple tests with the help of while loop or for loop. Okay, so it's similar. Only thing is like a control structure is available along with while. So in projects, rather than they go for printing a sequential number, and if they want to have a control structure, they go with while loop rather than going for loop. Okay, clear?
Yeah, okay, doubt
Yeah, go
Rakesh
ahead.
garu.
Yeah, tell me.
So, yeah, దీనికి ముందు మనం స్విచ్ చూసాం కదా! అది కూడా ఈ కంట్రోల్ బ్రేక్ ఇవ్వడానికి అని అన్నాం కదా! బట్ దానికి వైల్ లూప్‌కి డిఫరెన్స్ ఏంటి?
Okay. Can you please repeat it? I was not able to hear. Switch and
స్విచ్ అనేది మధ్యలో మనకి ఒక బ్రేక్ వస్తుంది. లైక్ వి విల్ బి హావింగ్ కంట్రోల్ అని చెప్పుకున్నాం కదా!
oh no. Okay. So here I'll just tell
దానికి
you.
వైల్
Okay. Just a minute. Let me open up for the switch what we discussed. Okay, here we go with switch. let us take this one. Okay. All right. Now, whatever is the accepted number, we gave switch here and we are giving break. The difference between this switch and break is we are having a control. That is, a set of statements are executed. Case one satisfied, then only the statements are executed. There we are giving condition. Okay. Here we are giving switch. Okay. So if this switch is satisfied, it will go to that particular case and execute all the statements which are there in case number one, or all the statements which are there in case number two, and so on. And here we have got even default is also there. There we don't have it. We don't have that default option or anything. We directly have directly we can give a condition and terminate the loop if I want to exit from here. Okay. So case will execute a set of statement, whereas in this case, it will satisfy the condition, then only it will enter inside the loop. Okay. Is it clear? The difference in switch is switch can satisfy the condition, perform a set of statements, whereas in case of your while loop, it has to satisfy the condition, then only it will enter inside to execute the statements. Okay, it is must. So first it will check for the condition. There it checks and you've got multiple options over there to switch. But here we don't have multiple options. We have got only one condition. If this condition is satisfied, it will enter. Now, for example, you're logging into a website. So you provide what username and password. Okay, so it will check first whether username and password is right. If it is right, then only it will allow you to enter inside the program, okay, or website. Clear? That is in case of while loop. Whereas in case of switch case, it is something like this. If user is admin, provide a different login name, login access. If it is a normal user, provide a different access. Okay.
Okay.
So there we have got two options. Here we have got no options except checking and validating the inputs that have been given. Okay. So let's say, for example, login page, I'll use while loop. Okay. I'll use while loop. Or if I want to continue a loop multiple times, so I can just use a while loop and ask the user while true. I want to perform the task till it is true. So in the end, I'll ask, do you want to continue? I'll say yes means true. No means it will terminate. So in that way, we can give a check with the help of while loop. Whereas in case of switch, assume that if I say number one, if I say one, it will execute one set of operations. Let us say January. I want to switch to January month's activity. So in case of switch, I'll say one, it will go to Jan. Okay. If I say 12, it will go to December. So in that way, we have the option to navigate directly and execute a set of statement. Okay. So there's a difference in between this while and switch, and difference in between even for loop also. Break is there, which will terminate whenever you want. Okay. But while loop will terminate even if your condition is satisfied. Inside that, if you want to terminate, you can terminate it by using break. Whereas in case of switch, after execution of set of statements, then if you want to directly end the process, we can use break in that. That is the difference. Okay. In switch, we can use directly break. I can execute all the statements, and in the end, I want to finish this task. I can say break. So if I don't break it, if I don't give break, it will continue executing all the statements. Let's say, for example, here I'm removing this. So it will execute all the statements. So if you don't want to execute all statements, we can just say break. Okay. So that is how it works. Okay. Right. So that's what we discussed about if, for loop, switch, and while loop. Okay. Testing point of view, we can use it as per our requirement. Okay. Like, for example, I want to perform certain task. Okay. And that task should be performed 3 times or 4 times. Then I can go with while loop, where I can have a total control over the loop and terminate once I satisfy the condition. Depending on that, we can perform test. So we'll see that practically when we are working with Selenium. From point to point, I'll be referring back to the same, and we are going to use that in our script, test script. Okay.
Yeah, one thing, Andy, ఇప్పుడు ప్రోగ్రామింగ్‌లో జస్ట్ మోస్ట్‌లీ ఒకటే యూజ్ చేస్తూ ఉంటాము.
Hmm.
సెలీనియం‌లో అన్నీ వాడతామా? లేకపోతే ఇన్ జనరల్‌గా మోస్ట్‌లీ 1 ఆర్ 2 థింగ్సే వాడతామా ఇందులో?
No, whatever I'm listing out here, this
ఆహా!
all this are going to be used depending on your requirement.
ఓకే.
Okay.
ఓకే.
Now, for example, if in the last class I gave example for Switch where we are using browser, two types of browser, let's say Chrome and Mozilla Firefox. So we are using
హ్మ్.
Switch over there. Now, can I
హ్మ్.
use the same, okay, opening of browser by using while loop? Yes, I can. Okay, let's say I
హ్మ్.
want to activate only Chrome browser 10 times. Okay, I
హుహు.
gave the loop that it is going to open 10 times. But in between, I thought, okay, sorry, I did a mistake. Instead of running it 10 times, I want to run it 5 times only. So with the help of while loop, I have the option to give a break.
హుహు.
Okay, so we can give a break by using while loop. Let's say 10 times we told that the loop should run to open the browser. So 10 times browser is going to open. So in
హ్మ్.
between we said after finishing the condition 5, I give a break. So what happens? It will terminate it at 5th iteration only. This we can. Now the question is, do I have to use while loop? Yeah, it depends on what scenario you're working with. It depends on what is the test that you're going to perform. Okay, all these are different options available in Java. What we are doing,
ఓకే.
we are taking advantage of Java and implementing a test on the application. Okay, so
హ్మ్.
depending on the situation, we are going to decide whether we should use if or for or switch or while. We can decide that. Okay,
ఓకే.
clear? So
హ్మ్.
similarly, we have got something called as method.
హ్మ్.
Okay, so let us see what exactly we have in method. Okay,
హ్మ్.
all right, so let me just list out about a method. See, method is a set of tasks that you can perform. Okay, let me just give example. See,
హ్మ్.
normally when you're writing your Java program, we say class followed with, let's say, the class name. I give it as name, and we'll start off with open flower bracket, and we end this with a closing flower bracket. Okay,
హ్మ్.
and here we use a default method called as main method, isn't it?
హ్మ్.
We use default method, main method. Okay, now
హ్మ్.
in the class, I want to define a variable. So I'm just giving here int I is equals to 10. Okay, I gave outside the method in the class, I provided int I is equal to 10. Okay, so what
హ్మ్.
I'm doing here, I'm defining a variable in the class with the initial value as 10. So if I want to use it inside this method, okay, so I can just say system.out.println, and I'm giving the output of I. I just gave this. Let us check how it works. So here I'll say public static void main and string args. String args. This is what we did, and normal print statement I gave to print I. And the thing is, like, in this method, do we have access to the variable I or not is what we are checking. Okay, so let me compile this and execute it. So the same folder 22, I'm saving it with the name as that of your class name. So I'll just say name here, name.class, name.class. Entered. So I go to command prompt. Okay, here we have got name.class. I'll say Java C followed with name.class. Sorry, name.java. Name.java. I think I gave the name as class. So let me rename it. Rename name.class to name.java. That's what I did. Now I'm going to compile it. Let's say Java C name.java. Okay. All right. So if you see here, it is giving me an error at I. Okay. It has given me an error at I. Okay. So why is it? Because I've defined the variable. Okay. Defined the variable, but I'm not able to access the variable in the method. Okay. So what we can do? So we can access it if you're sending it as a parameter. Okay. We can access this if you're sending it as parameter. So let me just make use of this into our ChatGPT application. Same code, I'm just pasting it here. Okay, now check how it has to be given to have access over that variable. Okay, so here it is given as what? Static. I did not use the word static. Now I'm going to use it. You can see static int I equal to 10. So what did I do? I just defined a variable here. I did not make it as static. Static means constant value. Okay, constant value. Now let us check the same thing, whether it is working or not. So I'll compile the code, name.class. Okay, what happened? 1 minute. Let me check. Okay, I'll just using it. Okay, static variable. Let us recompile it and check whether it is able to point out that as a error or not. It's still, you can see it is still giving you that there's a problem with the variable I. Now check out the solution which is given here. This is the solution. Okay, so if you're defining it as what? I should create instance of the object. Please check here. I should create instance of name class. This is how you create instance of name class. Then only you will be able to access variable I. Okay, so let me show you this once again. What did we do? We gave static. We gave directly int I. So when I'm defining the variable here inside the class, I'm not able to access this particular variable directly. Okay, from where? From the main method. Okay, so Java, what it tells us, if you want to access this variable, do one thing, create instance of the class, then only you will be able to access. Let me show you how the instance is created. Okay, so what is our class name? Name. So I'm using name n is equal to new instance of name. This is how you create object. Okay. What is this name? Name is nothing but your class name. So I'm defining variable n, which is of name type, which is of class type. Okay. So normally we say int I, right? So similarly here it is n, like here we have I, but this n is of what type? Class type, name type. Okay, so that is how we are defining n as name type, class type. And I'm saying new name, that is, it is creating a new instance and assigning that to n. So when I'm assigning that to n, I can just say to access I value, I can say n dot I. What is n? It's the new object that you have created, n of I. So let us check this. I'll save this again. Go back to the compile option, compiled it. Okay. What happened to this again? N dot, yeah, that should work. System.out.println, that is also fine. Just let us check this once. Okay, I think I have given that static. You don't have to define it as static because object instance is created. Okay, let's save this. Try to recompile it. Okay. Still not identifying. Let me cross check this. Something is going wrong in the code. Let me re-execute and check this. Name is the class name. Okay. Oh, got the point. Now see here, whatever I'm doing here, it is getting saved in .class file. It is not saving it in Java file. Okay. So I'll say delete, or I'll say rename name.class to name.java. Okay. So the file which is getting created here, I'm modifying in class file, not the Java file. Okay, that's why it
Okay.
was giving the problem. Okay, now I'll say Java C to compile name.java. Okay, now it got compiled. Let me do the modification to the file name.java. Okay, let's do the modification. You can see I did not create instance here. Now I'm creating the instance. Now it should be able to compile it. Okay, running the code Java followed with name. You won't have to use .java or .class. Okay, I got 10. So if you see here, this process of accessing the variable in the main method is called as instantiation of object. Okay, I'll just repeat it again. What we did is we defined the class called as name. In that we defined the variable. Okay, this is called as instance variable. Name is a class, and in that we are creating an instance variable. This variable is also called as global variable, instance variable or global variable. So to access this in the main method, what we are doing here, we are instantiating name, that is object, which is of name type. I can say even n, x, whatever you want. Okay, instantiated. Once you create instance of your class name referring to the variable n, I can just say n dot I. N is the instance variable and I is the variable that is defined here on top. That is global variable. Now, if I just try to save it, I would be able to get the output that is 10. I've compiled it and I'm running it. I got the output as 10. Okay, same thing we are doing it, but only difference here is we are working with object-oriented programming. Okay, this is called as OOPS. Okay, so we can do that with the help of what? Method. And this default method that we have here is called as main method. Now I'm not going to use main method. I'm going to use my own method. Okay, I'm going to use my own method. So let me just do that. So here I'll say public static void. Instead of main, I'll say display underscore data. Display underscore data. And I'm defining this method. Now, what is that I'm going to do here is I'm just directly saying that system dot out dot println, and I'm just directly saying that I want to display I. So what is the difference here? We have just created one new method. This is not main method. Main method is this one. And in main method, we learn how to instantiate the variable, okay, and how to access it. Now we are not doing this. So I'll just remove this part. Okay, I'm not doing instantiation of it. Rather than that, I'm just trying to access display data method. Okay, here inside the main method, I'm just using display data. Okay, on top, we have defined the method and we have given a variable. Now in display data, I'm using I. I is equal to 10. That's your instance variable. This is the method that we have written, our own method. And from main method, we are making a call to display data. That is this. Okay. So what am I trying to do? I'm just trying to display the value of I by using a method. So let us check. I'll save this and I'll navigate back to the command prompt and let's see whether it's identifying that particular object or not. Same problem we are facing. We are not able to access the value of I here. So what I can do inside this, I will create an object. Okay. So I'll say name. Okay. I'm referring to the name and I'm referring to a variable called as Z. Name Z is equal to new name. I'm creating instance of it. And here I'm saying z dot I. Z is what? Instance of name variable. Inside that we have got I. So I'm using z dot I. Let us save this. Trying to recompile it. Okay, recompile it. This time if you see, it has worked. And when I say Java followed with name, it has to give me the value that is 10. It got 10. So I can either directly access by creating the object here, okay, or I can access it by creating an object inside the method. This is our own customized method. Okay, so this is your method and this is your main method. So we can have multiple methods that can be written. In this way, we can write multiple methods. Okay, so methods can be useful, okay, if you're dividing your project into multiple modules. At that point, we'll be working with methods. Okay, clear?
Yeah, clear.
Okay, so this is the example of working with method. So can I define one more method here? Yes, I can say something like this. Public static void. Now here I'll just say my underscore message. Okay, I'm giving here my underscore message. And inside this, I'm just displaying. So there is no variable, no instantiation, nothing. So I'll just say system.out.println, and I'm giving end of program. End of program. This is what I gave. Okay, end of program. So I want to make a call to that. So here I'll say my underscore message. Making a call. That is how you make a call. I want to write one more method. So I'll say public static void. I want to write a method. Let's say greet underscore message. Okay, opening flower bracket, closing flower bracket. And here I'll say system dot out dot println. I'm just saying program started. Program started. Okay, so when I want to make a call, I'll first call this greet underscore. The same method name we have to use, message. Greet message. Okay, so I'll save this. Let us execute it. So when I compile it, no errors, but we are making call to what? Multiple methods. You can see the first one is because of the first method, program started. The second one is the one which is creating with an instance. And the last one is because of the end message. So these are the three methods that we are calling in sequence. Can I shuffle the order? Yes, we can shuffle the order in whatever way we want. Okay, so that is how you can work with multiple methods. Am I clear?
Yeah, yes, Rakesh garu. And
Okay.
one
Yeah.
thing, so can you back to the code?
Code. Okay, 1 minute. This is the code. Yeah.
Yeah. సో, ఈ గ్రీట్ మెసేజ్ ఇదంతా మనం ఫంక్షన్ అని అనొచ్చు కదా! డిస్‌ప్లే డేటా.
We call them as method. Okay, we can say it as function also, but in Java we call it as method. Okay, so this is your own function. You can say own function, but as we are referring it as method, so I'm just giving method name. So it's something like this here. That's your class name. Dot out is a method. Dot println is also a method, like that. Okay, so when I'm creating an instance, this is your instance. So I'm saying what system dot out dot println. So here I'm saying z dot I. So it is something like name dot z dot I, like that. Okay, so you're creating your own method so that you can call whenever you're in need of it. Okay.
Okay.
All right, so that is how a class can have multiple methods. So if you see the hierarchy of it, it will be like this. What do we have in a class? In a class, we'll have minimum main method. This is minimum main method. Okay, can you have methods before and after this? Yes, I can have multiple methods. Method 1, I can have it on top, or I can have it after also. Method 2, method 3, and so on. So in this way, we can have multiple methods in a class. So when someone is asking, what do you have in a class? You should say, there are multiple methods which can be associated with a class, and we can have a minimum one method, that is main method. Okay. Can I have a class without using main method? Answer is yes, I can. Okay. But the program will not execute. To execute the program, we should have minimum main method. Okay. Clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, can you have this class? Can you have this class in one single place so that we can use it for multiple cases? Yes. So what we can do is a class can be associated with a package. A class can be associated with a package. So a package will contain class and a class will contain method. Okay, clear? So in that way, we can have multiple things. Okay, so I'll stop here. We'll just reconnect and continue.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.